Today is Palm Sunday, but in your palms, instead of palms, I have given you stones to release and let go, because we're so much about releasing this month, as Connie said. And today, as we talk about the triumphant entry of the Master Jesus into Jerusalem, I want to talk, of course, about the metaphysical message of this week. Today begins the beginning of Holy Week in the Christian tradition. And in the esoteric tradition, this is about, of course, our path towards Christ consciousness. And the fact that the Master Jesus, during this week, showed us some of the steps towards initiation from a metaphysical and esoteric standpoint. Some of you have heard me share this part of this message before about a wonderful teacher I had many years ago, and who I first heard speak at one of my seminary conferences. His name is Alan Oker. Alan Oken. Hi, Alan. Sorry about that. Alan Oken. And he is an esoteric astrologer. And he was our conference speaker that year. And he talked about his spiritual quest and how he came to embrace the wisdom teachings, or the ancient or ageless wisdom, as we also know them. He had been raised Jewish and had studied linguistics in university. During his search for his own faith, he traveled extensively throughout the world. And as he shared with us how he saw all the various houses of worship across Europe and the Middle East, I was reminded of my own experiences as a fashion designer and as a fashion director, because I had done the same thing. Every time I would hit a new country or hit a new city, one of the first things I wanted to do was go to the old cathedrals or the temples, if I was allowed in them, to experience the energy there. As a Christian, when I would go into a cathedral, I would feel the prayers and the energy and all of the richness and joy and blessing of that place. His response to some of the cathedrals was a little bit different as a Jewish person and as a person of inquiry exploring the different religions. Because what he experienced was he would go into some of these cathedrals and think about it. Has anyone ever been into an old cathedral of the Catholic faith? And you see the main altar, and there's the crucified Christ with the nails through the palms, with the crown of thorns, bleeding and in agony. Then there are the minor little altars on some of the other sides, with perhaps a saint with arrows through it, and another saint on the other side being burned. Okay? And so he would look at all of these smaller martyrs, and then he would look at them and wondered about how a religion could be formed around suffering. Right? Then he would go to India, and he would visit the various Hindu temples and saw their gods. Colorful, fat, bejeweled, joyful, laughing.
That's right.
And he saw a God that was into abundance and joy. And then he paused and looked at us all rather pointedly and said, I like curry. And I thought, yeah, so do I. And then it really got me to think, because I was like my second year in seminary. And this was also the year I was studying the history of the church, which of course is the history of the Catholic Church. And we were studying how the Bible came to be, and how so much of our roots, the beginning of who we are, was man-made, not God-made. And that the message that Jesus was giving us during this week was not about the physical crucified body, but of the risen spirit. The idea was, don't focus on the agony and the pain of the challenges of your life. Focus instead on releasing and letting go of that, and focus on the end game. The end game, which is glorious, resurrected, reborn, renewed, God body. Then I remembered a few years ago, a movie came out that destroyed the career of a certain actor. whose name was Mel. And that, I refused to see it.
I did too.
I refused. And we were doing New Directions during this time, and I spoke about this too. It was like, here we go again. We're focusing on the debasement of the physical form, when what we do as esoteric Christians is focus on the risen Christ, the Christ consciousness. When I was ordained, all of the crucifixes I got, if they did have the body of Christ on them, had his hands like this, not on the cross. The risen Christ. And that is what this week is about. When we look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Holy Friday, Good Friday, we look at the fact that each of those steps that he took this week are steps that we take as we're getting ready to make a step towards our next part of enlightenment. We go into Gethsemane. We are tested. We say, why? And God says, you really want to know? I'll let you know. I'll tell you why. And we are tested. And we have some pain. You know that old saying, no pain, no gain. The idea, though, is to let it go. You were talking about your friend, Connie, earlier today that fell down some mountains, or some mountain steps or whatever she saw. And what did she say?
She said, no sense in complaining. I'm dealing with it.
I'm dealing with it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could start doing that every single time we met a challenge? There's no sense complaining. It's already happened. It's happening for a reason. God is not vicarious. He doesn't sit there over his cosmic computer with his finger hovering over the smite button just to get a grin for the day. There is a reason for the smite button. And it's usually something that we did, and he's just helping us along so that we can realize our potential. I also have a magnet on my refrigerator that says, God didn't bring me this far just to drop me on my head. See, God has other things to do besides worry about us falling down a flight of stairs. We did that so that we can wake up, so that we can watch the direction that we're going in, or say, oh, okay, why did this happen? If we don't know why, we let it go. We don't worry about it. It happened. Let's focus on healing. Let's focus on being in the moment. Let's focus on our divinity, our purpose, not our powerlessness.
Yes.
That is so important because right now in today's shifting consciousness, in the idea that we're shifting from age to age, that we're shifting into our new bodies, we are seeing more and more opportunities for growth. Whether it's allergies, whether it's added weight, whether it's, now I'm just telling you my stuff, whether it's anger. Now, I have to tell you something. I've been thinking a lot about this midlife anger stuff that some of us as women experience. And all of a sudden, I remembered that in the wisdom schools, you were not allowed to study the ancient wisdom teachings until you were past 40. Oh, think about that. Now, men, do you experience anger in your midlife too? Do you go through this?
Yes,
Yeah. Think about this. You know, again, there is this divine plan in the brilliance of how we are made. You think about this. There is eternal truth in the way our physical and emotional and spiritual bodies evolve, progress, mature, and go forward.
Yes.
And there is a reason for the midlife crisis. Not only in our physical life, but in our spiritual life. This is why what happens when you get angry? That is the same energy as passion. It's that same fire energy. It's just the other side of the coin. This is the week of the passion of the Christ. What did he do? Now he got angry. Didn't he get angry today when he went into the temple? Whoa. They will Hosanna him all the way into the temple today. And he got there, and what did he do? He got angry. But then he turned that angry into his passion. Because his passion was he knew he was here to shift the energy into that of divine love and compassion so that all of us would be able to experience it as part of our own journey towards mastership. But he, as the human being that he was, remember he was God-man. So he had that double angel on his shoulder, as we all do, because we are all God-man. Because of his ability to hold that energy for us and put it into the earth for us, we are all God-man. Now, that was the shift that he gave us. Now we're in the shift of another age, towards the next step of enlightenment. And so as we look at his passion, he started with, I'm angry. The letter of the law. You've lost the spirit of the law. Get the money changers out of it. It's not about money. It's not about money. Now, money helps. But he was saying, you debase this place because you've made the worship about money. You debased it. Where is your spirit? That's why churches like ours, spiritual centers we call them, and we say love offering. I don't call you on the phone and say, excuse me, you didn't give enough to me. No, we talk about love offering because we know that you give from your heart. We know that it's not about money, it's about service too. So that 10% is about, so many of you give to this church in so many ways. And so I love the idea that Connie can get up here and open ourselves to everybody about the financial part of it and be open and honest, and yet we also know that you also give in so many other ways. And all of it makes us healthy as a spiritual family. And so when Jesus showed us the path towards enlightenment, and he started out with that feeling of, think about the frustration he must have had. It was like 30 years walking the earth, 3 years of telling everybody what it's about, and I still have to come to Jerusalem and throw the tables over. Oi, what are they going to get? Oh yeah, I have to go through Good Friday now. I forgot. And so he knows, the thing about what he went through this week is he knew. Can you imagine knowing that you were going to have to go through that? Can you imagine? Release. Let go. Breathe through the pain. Those of you that have had to do that by giving birth, you knew what you were going to go through. After the first one, the second one, you knew what was coming, right? Mm-hmm. But you were going to do it anyway, right? But those of you that did, because of the joy. But Jesus also knew, as the master that he was, that he was more than his physical body. And those of us that have learned how to meditate and go beyond who we are in the physical, know that at a certain level of consciousness, we don't even feel our physical body. we go beyond and we become the mind. And that's where we are in our stage of evolution right now. Is we're learning how to meditate and we're learning how to use the mind in very deep and meaningful ways. Bless you. And so the secret of Golgotha, I never learned how to say that correctly. Golgotha. You know how you hear things once or twice and then you forget them over the years? This is also part of midlife. I wonder if midlife memory blips are so that we don't have to remember everything that happened. Anyway, release and let go of that which you don't need to know. Oh, I just made a slogan. I think, never mind. The idea is that the experience of life and death as a part of the process. You know, when that happened, and then this transfiguration happened, and the disciples were able to see him in his glory body, his light body as we would call it today. They saw their future. They saw their future. And then, as we go back again and remember that movie Cocoon, think about the cellular memory that so many people had ignited by seeing the light body of the aliens. How many people didn't see that movie? Did not.
Did not see it.
Did not. Okay.
Oh, we must see it.
Then we must see it. I
So
hear it. I feel another movie night coming
And
on.
that's worth it.
It was an idea of these aliens coming to Earth and taking on a human body. But they had to get out of that shell every once in a while and get into their real form, which was a light body. And so they would unzip, and they were light. And it was like, whoa, you know, what an amazing time. And it was a time when a lot of these type of movies about aliens and this kind of thing was coming out that was expanding not only the consciousness, but reminding us who we were at a cellular level. Because so many of us, all of us, are star stuff. We come from the stars. Whether it's another planet or not, that's up to your own individual belief system. But what it is allowing ourselves the idea that we are unlimited potential. And that's what the transfiguration was about as well. Because Jesus always said he wasn't the only one that could do this. He never said that. He never said he was the only one. And we have to remember that message all the time. Because if we don't, we are not only negating what he did when he came to earth in the physical, we are negating who we are as the potential masters walking on earth, about to be Christed. And so today, when I walk you through our meditation, and you're holding this stone, and you're releasing what you need to release into the sort of bubbling water, that it really is a fountain, and it's been in my bedroom for a long time, and maybe got clogged up because of that, but it is moving. What we are releasing for is what? We are emptying our vessel, our physical, our emotional, our spiritual vessel, so that we can receive the Christ consciousness, the energy of the Christ next week. And what a powerful day next Sunday is. And those that are not here, if you know them, call them and say, be thee there next Sunday. It is a wonderful day of all of these energies that we can avail ourselves of. Now, it's exactly on Sunday, or it's actually the 4th, I think, that the full moon is. So it's within that 24-hour period of time that Christ consciousness is at its apex, the strongest energy, next Sunday morning. It's just this amazing time that we're going to have of opening ourselves that we have released during this 40 days of preparation. And why did the Israelites wander for 40 days in the desert? Because they weren't ready to receive. They weren't ready yet. So they had to wander around to prepare themselves to go into the promised land. That's one of the reasons we have 40 days of Lent. To prepare ourselves, to be ready for receiving the energy of the Christ during the time of the Aries full moon, the Easter celebration, the beginning of the zodiacal new year. We begin anew, renewal, rebirth, which is our theme for April. Renewal, rebirth, as we have purified, released, and let go these 40 days. And so it is.